For centuries, scholars believed the Amazon was untouched wilderness, until one LiDAR scan in 2019 shattered that illusion. What started as harmless lines on a screen revealed a man-made city lost for 12,600 years, and a sealed chamber holding clues that should not exist. Inside were extinct animals, precise star maps, and direct evidence of disaster. This discovery will force every archaeologist to rethink who built the first civilizations and why the clues remained invisible for so long. Dr. Ella Al-Shamahi's fingertip hovered just above the LiDAR screen, tracing a line no one expected to see. The computer's false color image, stitched together from millions of laser pulses, stripped away the Amazon's green veil. Instead of endless wilderness, the display lit up with a grid of perfectly straight lines running for miles, roads, raised embankments, and geometric plazas etched into the earth. Each feature snapped into focus as the software mapped the ground in slices barely a meter wide. In an area the size of a small city, the patterns formed an unmistakable network. Platforms, causeways, and squares, all aligned with mathematical precision. The scale defied belief. 30 square miles of engineered landscape, hidden beneath a canopy so dense that less than 1% of the Amazon's floor had ever been mapped by foot. For decades, satellite images and ground surveys missed every trace. The jungle's growth was relentless, swallowing stone, earth, and memory in a matter of years. Even the most determined expeditions had found only fragments, mounds mistaken for hills, ditches lost to roots and rain. Now, the LiDAR screen told a different story. The city's design suggested advanced planning and coordination, with roads running arrow straight over ridges and across rivers. Raised platforms hinted at ceremonial centers or administrative hubs. Square plazas, some nearly the length of a football field, appeared at regular intervals. The sheer density of features rivaled ancient metropolises on other continents. As the team stared at the digital map, the urgency of the mission became clear. This was not a scattering of lost villages. It was evidence of a civilization capable of reshaping the land on a massive scale. Somewhere beneath the tangled roots and vines, something extraordinary waited to be uncovered. The LiDAR had revealed the blueprint. The next step was to find proof on the ground, before the jungle reclaimed it once again. At the foot of the limestone ridge, a vertical wall of rock rose from the tangled undergrowth, its surface covered in figures that seemed to pulse with ancient memory. Towering nearly 100 feet high, the mural stretched across the cliff in a single unbroken sweep. Painted in deep ochre, the images captured animals that no longer walked the earth. Mastodons with massive spiraled tusks, giant sloths whose claws curved longer than a human arm, herds of horse-sized armadillos caught in mid-stride. The precision of the lines left no doubt. The artists had seen these creatures alive. Close inspection revealed more than just artistry. Traces of red pigment analyzed by portable X-ray fluorescence matched mineral signatures from deposits over 400 miles away. This was not local Earth. Someone had carried the ochre across the continent, hinting at trade routes and organization on a scale no one had imagined for this place or time. Beneath the animal stampede, a lone human figure stood with arms raised beneath a ring of fire. Surrounding the figure, a cluster of geometric marks arced overhead. When mapped against astronomical software, the configuration matched the night sky as it appeared in 10,800 BCE. The arrangement of stars, the position of the Milky Way, even the angle of the ecliptic, every detail lined up with the end of the Younger Dryas, a period marked by catastrophic climate swings. Samples of organic residue collected from the mural's base returned radiocarbon dates clustering around 12,600 years before present. These results, cross-checked by optically stimulated luminescence on sediment layers, pushed the site's age far beyond any accepted timeline for complex society in the region. The mural was not only a record of vanished beasts, but a precise anchor in deep time, a message carved in pigment and stone, waiting for someone to decode its meaning. Porters moved in single file, boots sinking into mud that swallowed the trail within hours. The air thickened with each step, sweat running into eyes already stinging from insect repellent. Every 50 meters, the team stopped to check their bearings. The GPS units, usually reliable, blinked with static. At one point, the safety officer called a halt. Compass needles, instead of pointing north, spun in slow, lazy circles, first one, then all three. The ridge loomed half a kilometer ahead, but the instruments acted as if the world had lost its sense of direction. A field geophysicist unpacked the magnetometer, hoping for clarity. The digital readout pulsed, then froze, then jumped 11 seconds out of phase with the baseline. The limestone here should have been quiet, its minerals non-magnetic. Instead, the reading spiked, as if something inside the cliff was pulling at the very field lines of the earth. The porters, hardened by years of jungle work, exchanged glances. One muttered about the old stories, places where birds would not fly and compasses lost their minds. The trek had covered 120 kilometers from the nearest road, cutting through flooded gullies and stands of razor grass. Food had to be rationed, and at night the sounds of the forest pressed against the thin nylon of the tents. Every move required calculation. The safety officer double-checked the emergency sat phone and backup batteries. Batteries drained faster near the ridge, forcing the team to cycle equipment in and out of use. Even the air felt charged, the kind of pressure that builds before a storm. At the base of the limestone face, the team set up a perimeter. The wall, smooth and cold, stretched up and out of sight, its surface broken only by a faint seam running in an arc. The geophysics team mapped the anomaly, marking the spot where the compass spun fastest and the magnetometer needle danced. Everything pointed to a hollow within the rock, sealed off from the world for an age. The porters stacked their loads, and the safety officer logged the coordinates. The ridge was silent, except for the quiet clicks of instruments, waiting for the next move. The drill operator braced against the limestone, sweat darkening the collar of his shirt despite the cool air. The bit, a diamond-tipped core 20 millimeters wide, pressed into the calcite glaze, sending up a faint, acrid dust. Progress was measured in millimeters per hour. The glaze, denser than any natural cave formation, registered at 28 centimeters thick on the telemetry. Each pass of the drill wore down the edge, forcing the team to swap bits every 6 hours. Even tungsten struggled. The glaze's surface, when sampled, showed signs of vitrification, minerals fused by temperatures far beyond any forest fire, closer to the output of a blast furnace. On the first day, the drill's pressure sensors began to climb. The digital readout ticked upward, 13, then 15 kilopascals, far higher than ambient. The operator slowed the feed, careful not to breach the wall too quickly. By the end of the second day, the bit had advanced less than 10 centimeters. The glaze's resistance was relentless, each layer tougher than the last. Operators logged every fluctuation in torque and temperature, watching for hairline cracks that might signal a sudden breach. The safety lead checked the pressure gauges hourly, logging readings that seemed to defy expectations for a sealed natural cave. By the start of the third day, the team's nerves were frayed. The sound of the drill echoed in the confined space, a steady metallic whine punctuated by the hiss of coolant. The air near the wall carried a faint tang, ozone or something like it, leaking from microscopic fissures as the barrier thinned. The operator called for a halt at 27 centimeters, recalibrating the depth gauge and confirming the final approach. Everyone stepped back as the last segment of core dropped away. A sharp hiss cut the silence. Pressurized air, trapped for millennia behind the glaze, rushed out in a metallic gust. The smell hit first, wet iron like the air after a thunderstorm, heavy with the charge of something long buried. Instruments logged a sudden drop in pressure, settling at equilibrium with the outside. The passage now stood open, a perfect circle bored through the vitrified seal. Beyond it, darkness pressed in, silent and untouched, waiting for the first light in thousands of years. The first step inside revealed a world untouched by time, yet shaped by deliberate hands. Under the beam of the lead botanist's headlamp, the floor glimmered black and glassy, not the rough stone or packed dirt of a natural cave. Measurements confirmed a layer nearly 18 centimeters thick of terra preta, an engineered soil known for its fertility and longevity. Charcoal flecks and mineral inclusions sparkled beneath the surface, a recipe lost to modern science. Archaeologists have studied terra preta across the Amazon, but never in a sealed chamber, never as the foundation for what appeared to be a sanctuary built to last through ages. Rising from the floor, basalt pillars stood at regular intervals, each one driven deep into the limestone. Basalt is a volcanic rock, impossibly hard and foreign to these lowlands, its nearest sources hundreds of kilometers away. The pillars had been shaped and set with precision, their surfaces smoothed by tools unknown. They supported the arched ceiling, 30 feet above, distributing the weight of the mountain overhead. The engineering spoke of a culture that understood not just stone, but the forces that could bring it down. At the chamber's center, a depression formed a perfect circle just over 4 meters across, filled with a liquid as black as obsidian. The surface reflected every movement, yet no ripple broke its calm. Initial tests showed a viscosity of 4 Pascal seconds, thicker than oil, with a faint metallic scent. When the botanist dipped a sterile probe, the sample clung to glass and resisted mixing with water. Analysis would later reveal a cocktail of metallic isotopes and fine charcoal, a preservation medium unlike any found in nature. Suspended within the black pool were seeds, some from palms and medicinal plants that no longer grow anywhere in the modern Amazon. Each one preserved as if plucked yesterday, their DNA waiting for another chance to take root. Along the walls, ceramic jars lined narrow ledges sealed with ancient wax. Inside, more seeds and dried tubers rested in neat rows, each sample labeled with symbols and patterns. The air remained still, sterile, untouched by mold or decay. This was not a tomb, but a vault. Every detail, the engineered soil, the imported stone, the chemical black pool, pointed to purpose. Someone had built this place to keep life safe, not for themselves, but for a future they would never see. A thin layer of soot coated the back wall, its surface interrupted by a dusting of glassy beads barely visible to the naked eye. In the lab, a geochemist placed a sample under the scanning electron microscope. The display filled with perfect spheres. Microspherules less than 1 millimeter across had fused from minerals at temperatures exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius. Their composition was unmistakable. High in silica and laced with traces of nickel and iridium, elements rare in Earth's crust, but common in meteorites. Energy dispersive X-ray analysis mapped the chemical signatures, confirming the spherules formed in a flash of extreme heat and pressure. The soot itself contained elevated levels of carbon and nanodiamonds, another marker of instantaneous shock. These features matched those found at impact sites around the world, from North America to Greenland, where a cosmic collision is believed to have triggered the Younger Dryas cold snap nearly 13,000 years ago. Yet here, deep in the Amazon, the evidence was locked inside a chamber sealed since the end of the Ice Age. The vitrified glaze on the entrance, the magnetic anomalies, the pressurized air, all pointed to a single catastrophic event. Whatever happened at this site, it was not a slow burn or a natural wildfire. It was a blast so intense it altered the chemistry of stone and left a forensic fingerprint that survived the jungle's relentless decay. Obsidian tools, sharp as surgical steel and black as night, lay scattered across the stone benches of the chamber's inner workshop. Each blade and chisel bore the unmistakable signature of volcanic glass. Its molecular fingerprint was traced by geochemists to quarries in the high Andes, more than 1,400 kilometers from the heart of the Amazon. No natural deposits exist anywhere near this jungle. The only way these tools arrived was through a network that spanned rivers, mountains, and vast stretches of rainforest, hinting at a system of movement and exchange that rivals the Silk Road in ambition. On a nearby shelf, a cluster of golden trinkets caught the attention of a materials scientist. Their shapes at first glance resembled stylized birds or insects. A closer look and a quick test in a wind tunnel revealed something stranger. The forms were aerodynamic. Wings swept back at precise angles, vertical stabilizers aligned for lift and stability. When placed in the test rig, the trinkets generated measurable lift, behaving more like scale models of aircraft than decorative charms. The implications stretched far beyond the Amazon, especially when a skeptical archaeologist pointed out that identical symbols, spirals, double lines, and geometric motifs had been catalogued at sites as distant as Göbekli Tepe in Turkey and megalithic ruins in Indonesia. Yet for all this evidence of far-reaching contact, the most confounding detail remained the state of the workshop itself. Every tool was arranged with care, as if the workers had simply stepped out for a moment. Dust covered the benches, but nothing suggested panic or disorder. The absence of human remains, combined with the presence of these untouched implements, raised questions that no one on the team could answer. Where had the builders gone, and how had their knowledge traveled so far, only to vanish without a trace? 4 hypotheses now stand for what happened inside the sealed chamber. First, a sudden cosmic event, supported by the microspherules in vitrified stone, forced an emergency sealing and left the site abandoned. Second, the people retreated underground, following oral histories of vast cavern networks, their fate hidden beneath the Amazon's surface. Third, a phase shift, where the builders used unknown technology or natural forces to step out of our reality, leaving only their tools behind. Fourth, the chamber was never meant as a shelter, but as a deliberate message, a seed vault and memory archive for whoever would find it next. To test these ideas, international teams have scheduled independent laboratory analyses. All samples, stone, soil, seeds, and residues are anonymized and tracked from field to lab. Replication is non-negotiable. Each finding must be reproduced by at least 2 accredited labs before any claim is accepted. Stewardship protocols now require indigenous consultation at every stage, with local elders reviewing research plans and controlling site access. No coordinates or artifact details will be released publicly until protections are in place. An elder's voice closes the circle. These places are not just stories. They are burdens and responsibilities. If you open the past, you must guard the future. Do not take what you cannot return. Today, satellite scans still reveal new lines beneath the Amazon canopy, hinting at secrets we have barely begun to imagine. As climate change and deforestation accelerate, each lost acre risks erasing untouched chapters of our species' past. The real question is not what we have already found, but how much more waits, just out of sight. What will we choose to discover before it is too late? Share your perspective below.